I got blamed for cheating, but I didn't cheat. My breath caught when Professor Adams handed back my test, and I saw the red F glaring at me. I remember how I stayed up all night preparing, how I willed myself to memorize every detail. The library was my second home, and I knew this material inside out. When I walked into class that morning, I had a calm confidence. I thought I was ready. He looked me in the eye and said, "You cheated." Those two words felt like a punch in the stomach. We were standing by his desk. My hands shook as he slid the paper across. The answer I had circled on the last question, the one he accused me of copying, I knew for sure I got it on my own. In the cafeteria afterward, the bright lights felt like they were burning holes in me. I replayed the moment. Professor Adams peering down, a furrow in his brow, pointing at my handwritten answer. I was frozen, guilt creeping like ice in my veins. I tried to reason, but no one was listening. I knew I couldn't keep this bottled up. I marched into his office after class. For a moment, I caught a hint of regret in his eyes, as if he didn't want to do this either. "I won't sign your failing report," he told me, voice low. My chest tightened as I realized that paper on his desk held more than just a grade. It was a brand, a stamp of accusation. How could I convince him I worked for this grade? He wouldn't even look at me. He stared at the paper and then wrote down something like appeal denied. Outside his door, the hallway felt narrower. I was tangled in disbelief and desperation. Every step to the department office reminded me of every late night I poured into studying. All of it felt worthless now. In the elevator, my reflection glared back at me. The version of me I saw was broken. I couldn't believe I was here, pleading to a stranger about my honor. The department had asked questions I was too stunned to answer. She rubbed her temples and told me this happens sometimes. She suggested I accept his decision. "It's not fair," I whispered, but it was lost in the empty air of the office. Walking out, I stepped into the crisp afternoon sun. I never realized an F could weigh so much on your chest. I shifted the failing report in my hands as if it burned me. At home that night, I stared at the faded textbooks I had studied from. I touched my notes, now like a betrayal. My roommate didn't understand why I was silent. Later, I caught a glimpse of her messaging someone. A knot of fear twisted in my stomach. Then I realized the truth. She had used my notes for her paper and left no trace when it came time. A memory flashed of her copying lines word for word as I passed by. My throat went dry at the thought. I had always been generous, eager to help, never expecting anything in return. Now I knew how naive that made me. The next day, I confronted her. My voice cracked as I said I knew what happened. She didn't even deny it. Her eyes slid away as she muttered something about pressure, but it felt like stepping on ice, slippery and dangerous. There was nothing I could do. My sense of justice shrank. I tried to appeal again, drafting a letter to the dean. I outlined every detail. The midterms I aced, the study group that turned sour. I thought the dean would listen, would see that I was only a victim. But days passed, and only silence came back. The trust I had in this system was dissolving. Now each morning, I push open that classroom door with dread in my stomach, pretending nothing happened. I answer questions, hide my fear. My peers glance at me as if I'm contagious. I've lost more than a grade. I've lost my faith. I still walk the campus, the same places I loved, but everything feels tainted. I'll never know what justice looks like here. Not anymore.